Pirates could fall asleep instantly while cannons blasted overhead and storms raged around them. Yet you toss and turn in perfect silence for hours. What did these ruthless sea criminals know about sleep that modern science completely missed until now? Pirates had sleep figured out while the rest of the world was still forcing their bodies to follow rigid schedules that made absolutely no sense. Most sailors on merchant ships and naval vessels lived by the tyranny of ship bells. Those harsh, clanging reminders that your rest didn't matter one bit. Every 4 hours, without fail, those bells would jolt entire crews awake whether they'd had proper sleep or not. But pirates, they threw that nonsense overboard faster than you could say, walk the plank. Instead of mindlessly following clock-based torture, pirate crews discovered something revolutionary. Humans actually have natural energy peaks and valleys throughout the day. Makes sense, right? Your body doesn't care what time some captain thinks you should be awake. Pirates arranged their watch schedules around when crew members naturally felt alert, not when some arbitrary timepiece demanded it. The brilliant part was how they handled the dreaded sudden wake-up calls that plagued other ships. Rather than shocking their crews from deep sleep into immediate action, pirates developed a gentler transition system. Crew members would gradually take over duties from those ready to rest, allowing for natural sleep cycles instead of brutal interruptions. Well, this wasn't just about being nice to each other, though pirates could be surprisingly considerate to their own crews. The real genius was tactical. When you let people sleep when their bodies actually want to rest, they wake up genuinely refreshed instead of groggy and fumbling around in the dark. Pirates often caught their enemies completely off guard during nighttime raids precisely because their crews were genuinely alert during those crucial dark hours. While merchant sailors stumbled around half asleep, forced awake by rigid scheduling, pirate crews moved with the sharp focus that comes from actual rest. And the weird part is, this flexibility made pirates more disciplined, not less. When someone chooses to sleep at the right time for their body, they naturally sleep deeper and need less total time in bed. Pirates could function on shorter rest periods while staying more alert than crews who spent 8 hours tossing and turning because they were forced to lie down when their brains weren't ready. Then there's the matter of avoiding those dangerous moments when exhausted sailors made critical mistakes during storms or battles. A well-rested pirate crew could respond to emergencies with lightning speed, while their sleep-deprived opponents often couldn't think straight when it mattered most. This natural approach to rest gave pirates a significant advantage that most people never realized. But even the smartest sleep schedule means nothing if you're trying to rest on a hard wooden plank while your ship tosses around like a cork in a bathtub. Sleeping on a hard wooden plank every night sounds about as comfortable as using a rock for a pillow. Most sailors in the 1600s dealt with exactly that nightmare, but pirates figured out something brilliant that changed everything. They ditched those awful wooden bunks and started using hammocks instead. Now, you might think hammocks were just some lazy afternoon invention, but these swinging beds were actually revolutionary sleep technology. The difference was incredible. Instead of fighting against every wave and getting slammed into wooden boards all night, pirates could sleep while gently rocking with the ocean's rhythm. Here's where it gets interesting. When your bed moves with the ship instead of against it, your brain doesn't have to work overtime trying to keep you balanced while you sleep. The gentle swaying motion actually triggers the same relaxation response that babies get when they're rocked to sleep. Makes sense, right? Pirates accidentally discovered what scientists now call vestibular stimulation, basically tricking your inner ear into a calm, sleepy state. But the real genius wasn't just comfort. Hammocks could be set up anywhere below deck in seconds. Need more space for storing treasure or supplies? Roll up 20 beds instantly. Storm coming and you need every inch of room to secure cargo? Hammocks disappeared faster than you could say batten down the hatches. Then there's the safety factor that most people never think about. During violent storms, sailors sleeping on wooden bunks would get thrown around like rag dolls, often breaking bones or worse. Hammocks solved this problem completely because they moved with the chaos instead of fighting it. While regular Navy sailors were getting battered against their rigid sleeping quarters, pirates were swinging safely in their suspended cocoons. And the weird part is, modern science backs up what these sea criminals figured out 300 years ago. Doctors today actually recommend hammocks for better spinal health because they naturally curve your back into the perfect sleeping position. No pressure points, No tossing and turning to find a comfortable spot. Your spine just settles into its ideal alignment automatically. Pirates also discovered they could adjust the tension perfectly for each person. Too loose and you'd fold up like a taco. Too tight and you'd feel like you were sleeping on a trampoline, but get it just right and you had the most comfortable bed on the 7 seas. Some veteran pirates became so skilled at rigging their hammocks that they could sleep soundly even during the roughest weather. The hammock revolution wasn't just about comfort, though. It was about survival and efficiency. Pirates who slept better, fought better, thought clearer, and lived longer. Well, longer than they would have otherwise. But even the perfect hammock meant nothing if you couldn't stay in it when things got truly dangerous. When the seas turned nasty, pirates faced a life-or-death sleeping problem that most sailors never figured out. Rough storms could literally launch a sleeping person across the cabin like a human cannonball. One minute you're peacefully dreaming about treasure, the next you're slamming into the wooden wall with enough force to crack ribs. Pirates developed a brilliant solution that saved countless lives and limbs. They lashed themselves directly into their hammocks using extra rope before settling in for the night. This wasn't just casual tie-downs either. These were serious knots that could hold a grown man during the most violent storms imaginable. The technique required serious skill, though. Too loose meant you'd still get tossed around like dice in a cup. Too tight, and you'd wake up with numb arms or worse, cut off circulation that could lead to real medical emergencies. Pirates learned the sweet spot through trial and plenty of painful error. But why was this so crucial? Well, untied sailors during major squalls regularly suffered broken bones, dislocated shoulders, and nasty head injuries. Ship logs from the 1700s show dozens of crew members getting seriously hurt just from sleeping during storms. Pirates couldn't afford to lose fighters to something as basic as a bad night's rest. The roping system worked like a maritime straitjacket that actually felt comfortable. Pirates would secure themselves at the chest and waist, sometimes adding ankle ties during particularly rough weather. These restraints moved with the hammock's natural swing while preventing any dangerous ejection from the bed. Then there's the psychological benefit nobody talks about. When massive waves are crashing over the deck above and the whole ship feels like it might break apart, being securely tied down actually helped pirates sleep better. The ropes provided a sense of safety that let their minds relax even when the ocean was throwing its worst tantrum. Smart pirates also developed quick-release knots for emergencies. If the ship was under attack or sinking, they needed to get out of those ropes fast. Special sailor knots could be undone with a single sharp pull, even in total darkness or when half awake. This balance between security and quick escape took real expertise to master. The most experienced pirates could tie themselves in and release within seconds, making it look effortless. New crew members often struggled for weeks to get the tension right, leading to some pretty amusing wake-up calls when they'd find themselves tangled up like Christmas presents. This rope-secured sleeping method let pirates rest peacefully even when their ship was getting tossed around like a toy boat in a bathtub. They could actually sleep through storms that would keep landlubbers awake for days, staying rested and ready for whatever dangers tomorrow might bring. Of course, staying alert during rest meant more than just avoiding getting thrown around. Ever tried sleeping in a room where someone left the lights on and your neighbors decided to throw a midnight party? Well, pirates faced the same problem, except their neighbors were creaking ship timbers, howling wind, and moonlight streaming through every gap in the wooden hull. The clever part? These seafaring rogues didn't just complain about it. They got creative. Dark cloth became their best friend. Pirates would tear strips from old shirts, spare sails, or captured fabric to fashion crude eye masks. Sounds simple, right? But here's what most people miss. Moonlight on the open ocean isn't just bright, it's absolutely blinding. The moon reflects off the water and bounces around below deck like a disco ball from hell. Without proper eye covering, pirates would toss and turn for hours, squinting against the glare that seemed to find every possible angle to assault their tired eyes. Then there's the noise situation, which was honestly ridiculous. Ships are floating orchestras of chaos. Wood groans against wood, ropes snap in the wind, waves crash against the hull, and don't even get started on the rats scurrying around. But pirates found an unexpected solution in their own voices. Sea shanties weren't just for work. They became nighttime lullabies. Crews would hum rhythmic melodies that masked the more jarring sounds. The genius here is that consistent, predictable noise actually helps your brain relax, while sudden creaks and crashes jolt you awake. Pirates basically invented white noise machines 3 centuries before anyone else thought of it. Some resourceful crew members stuffed their ears with cloth scraps, creating makeshift earplugs. Others discovered that certain positions in the ship were naturally quieter, usually closer to the center where the hull was thickest. Knowledge like this got passed down from veteran sailors to nervous newcomers who couldn't figure out why they weren't getting any rest. Privacy was another beast entirely. Picture trying to sleep in a room packed with 30 sweaty, snoring men who haven't bathed in weeks. Pirates hung extra cloth around their hammocks to create tiny personal spaces. These makeshift curtains didn't block much noise, but they created a psychological barrier that somehow made the cramped quarters feel less suffocating. The really smart pirates learned to sleep during the day when possible, taking advantage of natural, quiet periods when most of the crew was busy with deck work. Daytime sleep meant avoiding the worst of the nighttime creaking and the loud conversations that happened after rum rations were distributed. What's fascinating is how these basic light and noise solutions made pirates incredibly adaptable sleepers. They could catch rest almost anywhere, anytime, regardless of conditions. This flexibility would prove absolutely crucial when it came to staying alert for the dangers that lurked in the darkness. Dangers that required them to sleep with one eye open and weapons within arm's reach. When you're surrounded by enemies on all sides and floating in the middle of nowhere, going to sleep completely defenseless sounds like a terrible idea. Pirates figured this out the hard way. Dead pirates tell no tales, and sleeping pirates often became dead pirates if they weren't careful. Every smart pirate kept their favorite weapon within arm's reach when they hit the hammock. Cutlasses hung from hooks right beside their heads. Pistols stayed tucked under makeshift pillows or wrapped in cloth near their chest. Some even slept with daggers strapped to their thighs. This wasn't paranoia talking. This was survival instinct at its finest. But here's where it gets clever. Pirates developed special knots and rope systems that let them grab weapons even in pitch-black darkness. They'd practice the same motion over and over until muscle memory kicked in. Reach left, feel for the leather grip, pull down, and twist. 3 seconds max from dead sleep to armed and dangerous. The weird part is how they balanced comfort with readiness. You can't exactly get quality rest with a sword poking you in the ribs all night. Pirates solved this by creating weapon holsters that hung just far enough away to avoid discomfort, but close enough for lightning-fast access. Think of it like keeping your phone on the nightstand, except your phone could save your life in a sword fight. Enemy ships attacked at dawn more often than any other time. Why? Because most sailors were either still asleep or groggy from just waking up. Pirates who slept armed could leap from their hammocks ready for battle, while their enemies were still rubbing sleep from their eyes. Those extra seconds meant the difference between living to steal another day or becoming fish food. Then, there's the psychological advantage nobody talks about. When word spread that certain pirate crews slept with weapons ready, other sailors thought twice before launching surprise attacks. Who wants to board a ship where every single person can go from unconscious to combat ready faster than you can say, surrender your treasure? Some crews even practiced emergency drills in the middle of the night. The captain would shout, "All hands on deck," and time how quickly everyone could roll out of their hammocks fully armed. The fastest crews earned respect and struck fear into merchant vessels across the Caribbean. Pirates also learned which weapons worked best for tight quarters below deck. Long swords were useless in cramped spaces, so they favored shorter blades and pistols. Smart positioning meant everything when you're fighting half awake in a swaying ship. While these armed sleeping arrangements kept pirates alive during dangerous nights, staying healthy during those long ocean voyages required different tactics altogether. The next challenge wasn't about fighting enemies. It was about fighting exhaustion, pain, and sleepless nights when your body just wouldn't cooperate. When your back ached from hauling heavy cannons all day and your muscles screamed from climbing rigging in rough seas, pirates didn't just tough it out. They had their own medicine cabinet of sleep aids that would make a modern pharmacy jealous. Willow bark was the crown jewel of pirate remedies. Chewing on strips of this bitter bark released natural compounds that eased pain and helped tired bodies drift off to sleep. Pirates discovered what scientists wouldn't prove for centuries. Willow bark contains salicin, the same active ingredient found in aspirin today. Smart, right? They'd gnaw on these woody strips like nature's sleeping pills, often combining them with mint leaves to mask the awful taste. But here's where things get tricky. Rum was both friend and enemy when it came to pirate sleep. A small tot of rum could relax tense muscles and quiet racing thoughts after a brutal day of sailing. Pirates called it their liquid courage, but it doubled as liquid relaxation. The problem? Too much rum destroyed sleep quality completely. Pirates who overdid it would pass out hard but wake up feeling worse than before with splitting headaches and zero energy for the next day's adventures. Then there were the curious comfort objects that pirates swore by. Smooth stones collected from exotic beaches became sleep tokens, rubbed between fingers until bodies relaxed. Some pirates carved small wooden charms or kept lucky coins under their hammocks. These weren't just superstitions. Having familiar objects nearby provided psychological comfort in an unpredictable world where danger lurked around every corner. Hot tropical nights presented their own sleeping challenges. Stuffy lower decks became unbearable ovens that made rest impossible. During these sweltering evenings, many pirates abandoned their hammocks entirely and slept directly on the open deck under the stars. The ocean breeze provided natural air conditioning, and the gentle rocking motion of the ship worked better than any cradle. Sure, sleeping on deck meant risking sudden weather changes or surprise attacks, but sometimes the trade-off was worth it. Different pirate crews developed their own secret remedies passed down through generations of seafaring families. Caribbean pirates mixed rum with lime juice and honey for a sleep cocktail that also prevented scurvy. Mediterranean pirates burned dried lavender in small pots to create calming smoke. Some crews even practiced group breathing techniques learned from captured monks or wise old sailors. The weird part is how creative these solutions became. Pirates experimented with everything from seaweed teas to fish oil massages, always searching for that perfect combination of ingredients that would guarantee deep, restorative sleep. Getting quality rest with homemade remedies was just part of the pirate sleep equation, though. Even the best sleeping aids meant nothing if your hammock reeked of sweat and seawater, or if chaos could erupt at any moment, requiring lightning-fast action. Cleanliness might seem like the last thing on a pirate's mind, but smart crews knew that dirty hammocks meant dead pirates. These weren't just rough sailors throwing caution to the wind. They understood that survival depended on staying healthy enough to fight. Hammocks made washing bedding ridiculously simple compared to heavy wooden bunks. Pirates could unhook their sleeping gear, dunk it in seawater, and scrub away weeks of sweat and grime in minutes. The salty ocean water actually worked as a natural disinfectant, killing off bacteria that would otherwise fester in the cramped quarters below deck. After a good scrubbing, hammocks went up on the rigging to dry in the blazing sun, which finished off any remaining germs. But here's where it gets interesting. Pirates didn't just wash their beds for comfort. Dirty bedding bred disease faster than rats in a grain hold. Scurvy, dysentery, and mysterious fevers could wipe out entire crews within weeks. A captain who ignored hygiene would soon find himself commanding a ship full of corpses. Smart pirates learned that spending an hour cleaning hammocks could save months of agony later. Then there's the speed factor that made pirate sleep truly legendary. These men trained themselves to sleep like cats, light enough to wake at the first sign of trouble, but deep enough to actually rest. When the lookout spotted enemy sails or shouted about rocks ahead, pirates had to transform from sleeping sailors to battle-ready fighters in under 30 seconds. The hammock system made this lightning-fast response possible. No fumbling with heavy blankets or struggling to get out of a cramped bunk. Pirates could literally roll out of their hammocks, grab their weapons, and be on deck before most people could even open their eyes properly. The whole hammock could be untied and stowed away in moments, clearing the gun decks for cannon fire. Emergency drills became second nature. Crews practiced jumping from dead sleep to full alert so many times that their bodies moved on pure instinct. Well, the smart crews did this anyway. The lazy ones usually ended up at the bottom of the ocean. Some pirates even slept with their clothes on, keeping boots nearby and weapons within arm's reach. This wasn't paranoia talking. It was hard-earned wisdom from crews who'd survived surprise attacks. The difference between life and death often came down to those first few crucial seconds when chaos erupted. The combination of cleanliness and quick response gave pirate crews their legendary edge. While merchant sailors struggled with sick crews and slow reactions, pirates stayed healthy and moved like lightning when trouble struck. No wonder they dominated the seas for so long. They'd mastered the art of sleeping smart while staying ready for anything the ocean could throw at them.